Good morning, everybody. So, Superman is now 75 years old. A couple years ago, they updated the look of his costume in the comics, and now that he's reached this milestone, I think it's long overdue that they update the look of Clark Kent as well. If they want my advice, the first thing I would do, lose those black framed glasses, dude. Get contacts. The following comments are taken from editions of Mail Call printed in the Herald Mail from April 15th to April 26, 2013, which can be read online in their entirety at www.herald-mail.com. First up from Morgansville. I think the Hagerstown caller on April 4th was wrong in claiming 60 to 70% want the ban on assault weapons and 91% want the background checks. The legislators are smart enough to know not to vote for it or they won't get reelected. That should give you an idea of what percent of Americans don't want either one. Right, because as we all know, voters decide which candidate to support based solely on a dispassionate assessment of their voting record, and political advertising and campaign spending have absolutely nothing to do with it. So when members of Congress vote against limp, gutted, inadequate gun control measures, you can be sure they're doing so to serve the interests of the people, and not the incredibly well-funded, powerful, influential pro-gun lobby that has openly threatened to destroy the careers of anyone who stands against them. Young men and boys of Hagerstown, this is Grandma. I'm tired of riding down the street and seeing your underwear hanging out. In my younger days, that would have been indecent exposure. Pull your pants up. Hagerstown. Well, that'll probably do it then. You know how receptive young men are to fashion advice from Grandma, the lady wearing the floral print dress and the elastic belt with the used tissue stuffed in it. When it comes to Civil War history, all you see in the media is Abraham Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation and slavery, which was, of course, a huge issue. But what they failed to mention is the Democrats. That's right, the Democrats. They wanted to compromise with the Confederacy, allow them to continue slavery, and still run the nation as one nation. They wanted to compromise during the Civil War. Hagerstown. It's a little more complex than that. Not all Northern Democrats opposed the Civil War and favored a negotiated peace with the Confederacy. Sure, lots of them did, but there were also the so-called War Democrats who supported Lincoln and supported the war. One of them, Andrew Johnson, was even Lincoln's running mate in the election of 1864. In fact, during that election, the National Republican Party went so far as to change its name to the National Union Party in order to accommodate those war Democrats who wanted to stand behind Lincoln without having to actually become Republicans. Can you imagine today's Republican Party doing something like that, changing its name in order to accommodate allies from another party? That is almost as difficult to square with the modern Republican Party as the Emancipation Proclamation. Almost. Please do something to keep the unique Suns baseball here. We have something that a lot of cities would like to have. And also during the Easter weekend, down at the ball field where they had the Easter egg hunt with thousands of people there, just think and have a vision what it all could be used for. Hagerstown. It's true, Hagerstown does have the Suns, something very special, a professional baseball team that a lot of other towns would probably like to have. Unfortunately, another thing Hagerstown has a lot of is people from Hagerstown, which is one reason why the Suns want to leave. Drag racing on Sharpsburg Pike. You young people, beware. You might think it's fun, but it is a deadly game. Police were called, but were too busy to respond. Williamsport. You know what's so funny about this one? Those of you who aren't from around here, you don't realize. The state police barracks is located at the end of a lane right off of Sharpsburg Pike. You call to complain about drag racing on Sharpsburg Pike, and the big building where all the cops work is literally right there. And they're still too busy to respond. I was wondering if anybody has the same problem as I do, and that is with door-to-door salesmen and religious fanatics. I have a no soliciting sign right beside my front door. I definitely don't want to put up a no trespassing sign. That's very detracting to the appearance of my property. My problem is this. People still come to my door, beat on the door, ring the doorbell, and when I go out and tell them to get off my property, they say, well, my problem's when they start saying the Supreme Court says we can come to your front door. Hagerstown. The problem as I see it, at least as far as those religious solicitors go, is that they don't derive their sense of entitlement from their constitutional protections, but from their belief that the God who created the universe has ordered them to knock on your door and bother you. That's what enables them to read your no soliciting sign posted right next to your door, receive the information that you'd rather not be disturbed, thank you very much, and say to themselves, nah, fuck it, I'm going to see if he feels like talking. There is no greater or more impenetrable sense of entitlement than that which comes from religious conviction. I have a question for Hagerstown residents. Did anyone see unidentified flying objects on Saturday, April 13? That night, I and 5 confirmed others at separate locations saw triangles over the north side of the city while looking for the northern lights. Electronics were even affected at 2 other known locations from these things. Were drones around? Hagerstown. Are you expecting someone who actually knows whether or not there were drones out that night to read your anonymous comment in the local paper and call in? And if you don't have that expectation, and I see no reason why you should, then why the fuck are you asking the question, knowing that the only people likely to answer it are those who are just as fucking clueless about the correct answer as you? Why is it that in Hagerstown a person can be buried in less time than they can get in to see a doctor? Something is wrong with this picture. Hagerstown. Dude, come on. I know I take many a shit on Hagerstown, but even I know better than to denigrate the speed and efficiency of our funeral industry. Don't bitch about one of the things we do right, man. Have a little class. I'm unhappy about downtown Hagerstown's government persistent policy of building a new expensive baseball stadium which will prolong mind-debilitating events completely at odds with the Board of Education trying to make intelligent human beings, supposedly. Ball games are for kids. All grown-ups are doing are prolonging their juvenile status. You're being fooled by self-interest groups if you believe otherwise. Hagerstown. Yes, you're being fooled by self-interest groups, says the guy who opposes building a new ballpark because he doesn't like baseball. You know what they say, there are 2 things people from Hagerstown hate: change and the way things are. And finally, from right here in Sharpsburg, I don't care for Barack Obama's policies and the way he's running this country, but make no mistake about it, he is one sharp cookie. He lost this thing on gun control here recently, but believe me, he will find a way to circumvent the system so that he gets what he wants, whether it's legal or not. He'll do it, and he'll just keep going. He knows ways to get around the system. He's done it before, and it's got to be his way or no way. Anyway, before you guys vote the next time, please make sure you understand who you're voting for. Yeah, that Obama. When he doesn't get what he wants, he just goes around the system. That's how he was able to close the prison camp at Guantanamo Bay, try Khalid Sheikh Mohammed in federal court, and implement nationwide single-payer health care. See, that's why when Republicans label him a failed president, it's so nonsensical. He does have a fairly impressive list of successes to hold up next to those high-profile failures I mentioned a moment ago, but that's just in real life. To hear Republicans tell the story, Obama has been an even more effective and transformative leader than his actual accomplishments attest. Listen to the way that caller describes him. He doesn't stop. He gets what he wants. It's his way or the highway. My usual response to talk like that is to shake my head dubiously, like this, and then to say, "Whew, don't I wish," like that. Thanks for watching. Why is it that in Hagerstown a person can be buried in less time than they can get in to see a doctor? Something is wrong with this picture. There's somebody getting in to see a doctor right now.